Katherine Wilson sat quietly at her desk, staring out the window. Rain trickled down the glass, and the gray sky outside matched the way she felt inside. She let out a long, tired sigh. Another day spent at the small translation company, doing the same thing she did every day, translating long Spanish contracts into English. Sometimes, Katherine wondered if this was really what her life was meant to be. It felt so repetitive, so empty of excitement or pride. "Katherine, have you finished the Gutier contract?" her boss, Mike, called from across the room. Startled, Katherine quickly pulled her eyes away from the window and turned to her computer screen. She forced a smile, even though she didn't feel much like smiling. "I'm almost done. I'll send it over before the end of the day," she said, trying to sound confident. Mike gave a quick nod, seeming satisfied, and then walked over to check on someone else's work. Katherine sighed again, softer this time, and began typing quickly. Her fingers danced across the keyboard with ease. Spanish came naturally to her, almost as easily as English. Everyone at the company respected her skills, speaking, reading, writing. She could do it all. She was proud of what she could do. But deep down, she knew that the people whose approval she wanted most didn't value her abilities at all. Her family, the Wilsons, were known for success. Her father, George Wilson, was a famous heart surgeon. Her mother, Martha, had once been a top lawyer before retiring. Her older sister, Victoria, was now a well-known doctor too, following right behind their father. In a family like theirs, where titles and prestige meant everything, Katherine felt like a failure. When she had chosen to study languages in college, and later specialized in Spanish, her family had been deeply disappointed. "You're wasting your talent," her mother had said more than once, shaking her head. "You should have gone to medical school, like your sister," her father would grumble. "If you're going to study languages, at least aim for something prestigious, like becoming a UN interpreter," Victoria had said, always with a hint of superiority in her voice. Katherine had worked hard to get to where she was. She spent years freelancing, scraping by on small jobs before finally earning a steady position at this company. It hadn't been an easy path, but it was her own path, one she had carved out for herself. Still, no matter how hard she tried, a small part of her always carried a heavy guilt. She hadn't become what her family wanted her to be. On the surface, her relationship with them looked fine to outsiders. They met for holidays and birthdays, but Katherine knew the truth. She was always on the edge, never really part of the family the way Victoria was. At Christmas dinner, they would smile at her but rarely ask her about her life. The conversations would quickly move on to Victoria's latest surgeries or George's medical achievements. Katherine would sit there, politely silent, feeling invisible. For her birthday, she would get quick, dry text messages: "Happy birthday, hope you're well." No calls, no real warmth. This had been the pattern for years now, and Katherine had gotten used to it, even if it still hurt sometimes. The only moments her family seemed to recognize her talents were when they needed her, like when they traveled abroad. Suddenly, she became useful. "Katherine, can you read this menu for us? Can you tell us what this sign says?" In those brief moments, she became valuable, not because of who she was, but because she could help them. And as soon as the trip was over, they went back to forgetting. Sitting there in the small office, Katherine's heart ached a little, but she pushed the feelings away and kept typing. She had built this life herself, even if no one else saw its worth, and maybe, someday, she would learn to see it clearly too. "I have one more thing to ask," Elena said, her voice sounding a little uneasy. "My company is still small. I can pay you in cash, but I might not be able to get the money from the bank before it closes today. I promise I'll give it to you first thing tomorrow morning. Could you wait until then?" Without meaning to, Katherine's eyes flicked toward the bag she was carrying, her father's bag. Inside it, she knew, was plenty of cash. For a moment, guilt pricked at her, but then she pushed that feeling aside. Right now, she had bigger worries. "That's okay," Katherine said with a small smile. "Honestly, my bigger problem is finding somewhere to sleep tonight." Elena's eyes softened. She must have seen something in Katherine's face because she asked carefully, "Did something happen?" Katherine hesitated but then gave a short version of her story, how her family had left her behind without even helping her find a place to stay. She didn't go into all the painful details, but it was enough for Elena to understand. "That sounds awful," Elena said with real sympathy. "I know a good hotel nearby. It's small but safe and clean. I'll call and book a room for you." That afternoon, Katherine gave her very first tour. 12 tourists stood waiting, looking at her with polite curiosity. At first, she was nervous, her heart thudded loudly in her chest, but she pulled herself together. She used the notes Elena had given her, adding bits of information she already knew from her own love of history and culture. As she spoke, switching smoothly between English and Spanish, she felt her confidence slowly grow. The tourists seemed happy, they laughed at her jokes, nodded thoughtfully at her explanations, and took lots of pictures. Katherine relaxed even more, enjoying the feeling of sharing the city's beauty with them. "How long have you been working here in Barcelona?" an American woman asked during a break. Katherine smiled honestly. "Actually, today is my first day," she said, "but I'm really excited to show you all how wonderful this city is." The tourists chuckled warmly at her honesty, and by the end of the tour, they even clapped for her. A few slipped tips into her hand with encouraging words. Elena was thrilled. "You're a natural," Elena said when they got back to the office. "They were all saying how great you were." Katherine blushed, but inside, she felt something warm and strong. For the first time in a long time, her skills, her real skills, had been noticed and appreciated. It was a small victory, but to her, it felt huge. "Actually," Elena continued, "we have tours every day for the next week. Would you like to keep guiding for us? Our usual guide won't be back for a while." Katherine didn't hesitate. "I'd love to." That evening, Katherine checked into the little hotel Elena had arranged. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, safe, and perfect for her. She used a little money from her father's bag to buy some clothes and basic things she needed: shampoo, toothpaste, a fresh shirt. As she lay on the bed that night, looking up at the ceiling, she couldn't help but think about how strange life was. Just this morning, she had been dragging her family's heavy suitcases, ignored and invisible. And now, she was here, working, respected, starting something new. As for the passports and money still hidden in her bag, she decided not to worry about that until tomorrow. Tonight, she needed to rest. The next morning, Katherine woke up early, feeling strangely full of energy. She had breakfast alone in the tiny hotel dining room, sipping coffee and eating fresh bread. She thought about her family. By now, they would have discovered that their passports and money were missing. They were probably panicking, unable to speak Spanish, stuck in a foreign country without help. A little guilt stirred in her chest, but even stronger was the feeling of freedom. For once, she was in control of her life. That day, she led another tour. This time, she spoke with even more heart, pointing out hidden gems and sharing funny stories she had learned about Barcelona. The tourists loved her. Some even said it was the best tour they had taken in Europe. On the third morning, Katherine arrived at the office to find Elena waiting for her, beaming. "Your tours are getting popular," Elena said. "More people are booking because they heard about you. I'd love to officially contract you for the whole week." Katherine happily agreed. Her heart felt lighter than it had in years. But then, the door opened. Katherine turned, and froze. Standing there, looking tired and desperate, were her parents and her sister. Her father's shoulders sagged like he was carrying the weight of the world. Her mother's face was pale. Victoria, her sister, looked furious. "So it was you who took our passports and money?" Victoria hissed. Katherine swallowed hard but kept her voice calm. "I didn't mean to take them. I was rushing, but please." Her father cut her off sharply. "Just give us the passports. We went to the consulate, but everything is complicated without ID." Katherine looked at them, really looked. Their clothes were wrinkled, their faces worn out. For 3 days, they had struggled without language, without money, without the comfortable safety net they always took for granted. "How does it feel?" Katherine asked quietly, "not being able to speak the language, not having help?" "What are you trying to say?" Victoria snapped, her patience thin. Katherine's voice trembled, but she didn't back down. "That's how I've felt for years, alone, invisible, only called upon when you needed something." Elena, standing quietly nearby, caught Katherine's eye and gave her a supportive nod before slipping into the back room to give them privacy. Her mother finally spoke, her voice softer than before. "We were wrong. We didn't appreciate you the way we should have, but we need help now. Please, help us." Katherine stared at them. Did they really feel sorry, or were they just desperate to get out of trouble? "I'll give you your passports back," she said slowly, carefully, "but I have one condition." "Condition?" they echoed, wide-eyed. "Spend 3 days as ordinary tourists, no special treatment, only use English, no Spanish. Join my tours, see what it's like to be helpless." to rely on someone else. Then, after 3 days, I'll return everything. They looked shocked, but they had no choice. Finally, they nodded. Until then, Katherine said firmly, I'm going to keep working. Here, people see my value. Thanks to Elena, I'm finally appreciated for who I am. Her family had no argument left. They turned and left the office, looking humbled and lost. After a moment, Elena returned and smiled at Katherine. Are you all right? Katherine took a deep breath, feeling a new strength inside her. Yes, I'm going to be fine. I've got some very special guests to guide for the next 3 days. Elena chuckled warmly. You're going to be a wonderful guide, Katherine. Don't ever let anyone make you doubt that again. Katherine smiled and glanced out the window. The sky above Barcelona was wide and blue, full of sunlight and new possibilities. For the first time in her life, the path ahead was her own, and she was ready to walk it, no matter where it led.